guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is very exciting because I've been waiting, I would say almost a full month to do a review on this foundation. This is the newest foundation from Mary Kay. They launched it mid-May, and the second I saw it on their Instagram, I was like, oh my god, I cannot wait to get my hands on this foundation. It looks amazing. So this is the new Mary Kay Timewise Matte 3D Foundation. I know you guys really like my Mary Kay reviews, and I love reviewing Mary Kay products. Mary Kay is definitely one of my favorite brands. I know I say this all the time, but they truly are. Their products are just really great quality, and they never cause me any breakouts. They never, I never have any bad reactions, and they always wear so well. So anyways, if you guys want to see a full demo and full in-depth review on this foundation, then just keep on watching. All right guys, jumping right into the demo. I'm very excited. I've seen amazing things about this foundation since it's launched on social media, so I'm really pumped to try it out and share my thoughts with you all. This is not the first foundation that I've tried from Mary Kay, of course. So this is the first Timewise matte foundation that I tried, and I have a full review on it, so I'll link it down below and put it like up here for you guys if you want to check it out. But this is the new Timewise matte foundation, so I'm excited. This is what the new packaging looks like. I think it's definitely an upgrade in some senses, and I'll explain why. Because like looking at them like this, you're like, what's the difference? Because they're both the same shape, same kind of squeezy tube. So this is what both of them look like, and the biggest difference is obviously the gray, but down here there's a strip of transparency where you can see the shade, which I personally love. The reason why I love it is sometimes it's difficult to look at the names, especially if you have more than one shade. It's difficult to look at the names and be like, oh yeah, that's the one. Sometimes when you see the shade color, it just makes color matching easier, and I personally love being able to see some part of the foundation within the tube. The fact that it doesn't have a pump doesn't bother me because it's not a glass bottle. It's a squeezy tube in plastic, so it's super easy to get the product out. So I have no complaints in that front. My kind of rule of thumb is if it's a glass bottle, then it has to have a pump. And if it's a squeezy tube, then I'm okay with that as well. For me, it's all about one, making sure that my foundation bottle stays clean, and two, actually being able to get the product out easily. So squeezy tubes allow me to do that super easily, so totally good with that. So there are 28 shades in the collection, which I think is a pretty good number. I always say anything above 25 is good in my books. I have 3 shades here. I'm gonna swatch them all for you all. I have Beige N210, Beige W180, and then Beige W160. The W means warm, N is neutral, and then C means cool. So I'm not really cool tone. I'm usually neutral to warm, so that's really great. In the summer months, I tend to get a little bit more warm, and then in the winter months, I'm more neutral. So right off the bat, I'm noticing that they are drying darker than they first apply. So I'm just kind of letting them dry a little bit so that you can see what they look like, the shades look like dry. These are the 3 shades here. Starting here with Beige W160. Then we have in the middle Beige W180, and then we have on the end Beige N for neutral 210. So as you can see, these two are quite similar, I find. This one just pulls a little bit more warm, a little bit more olive, but I think I'm actually gonna go with the first shade here. I think that this is gonna be a great summer shade for me, but for today, I'm gonna go in with Beige W160. So since it is a matte foundation, I'm going to prime just with a hydrating primer. This is from CoverGirl. I've been really liking the new CoverGirl primer, so I'm just gonna keep using it. When it comes to foundation reviews, I like to use primers that I like. I'm not trying to use a primer that I don't know or I don't like, because then it's just gonna set up the foundation for failure. So I'm just using a hydrating primer. It is a matte foundation, and if it's anything like the first foundation, it is actually matte. So I'm just gonna hydrate my skin a bit before we go in. As you can see on my hand, it's pretty liquidy consistency. Ooh. So the consistency isn't thick or anything, which is nice. So I'm just gonna dot this on one half of my face like I always do. Like right now, seeing these dots, I'm like, ooh, that looks light. But honestly, like on my forearm, it looks pretty dark once it's dry. So I think that's good. Another product that they released is a brush like this. This is called their blending brush. So I'm gonna use this, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna switch to my beauty blender, just so you guys know. So one thing that I don't like about these is I find that it pulls on your face a little bit, but we'll try it. We'll try it out. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and just kind of use this in circular motions. One thing that I do like about these brushes is that you can work really quickly and it doesn't take any of the coverage away. So this brush actually blended really nicely. As you can see, it's looking pretty good. It does look a smidgen light, but I do think it's gonna dry darker, so I'm not too concerned with that. I think this is actually gonna be a really good match. Like, as you can see here, there's a little bit of a shade difference. But I really think it's gonna dry darker, so that'll be interesting to see. If it doesn't, then I would jump up to the 180, but I think that the 160 is gonna dry to match pretty nicely. Just so you guys can see, this is one layer on the one side. What it has done is covered up a lot of my pigmentation in my cheek area and around my nose. That's kind of like my trouble area. And then on my chin, I usually get quite a few blemishes at the, you know, time of the month. I still can see a lot of my freckles and beauty marks, which I actually really like in foundations. It just like looks very natural, which I enjoy. So I'm really liking the coverage. I would say it's a medium coverage. It's definitely not full coverage. Although it's not full coverage, I do think it's absolutely a foundation that is buildable because of the consistency. It's not too thick or anything like that, so that's really nice. And just to see a little bit of a difference in coverage. So it's definitely getting rid of a lot of redness and darkness in areas and just evening out the skin, which is exactly what we want. I find like a little goes a long way too, which is nice. I don't think I need that much up there. I actually didn't mind this brush at all, so I'm gonna keep using it. I think the thing that you have to remember when using brushes like this is just to be gentle. Like, you don't have to apply too much pressure and you don't have to pull on your skin, so just being gentle and kind of trying your best to work in an upwards motion instead of down, so you're not pulling down on your skin. I think those are kind of like the key things to keep in mind. Okay, so I now have one layer of the foundation on. I'm really liking it. There's some areas that I think could use a little bit more coverage. I think this area could use a little bit more. Definitely my under eyes, which I typically don't put too much foundation in that area because I don't want it to build up and be too cakey. So that will be fixed with concealer. And then I have another blemish here, which just needs a little bit more. But other than that, I really, really like the coverage that it gave. It doesn't feel too heavy, so that's really nice because in the summer months, I want to wear matte foundations, but I don't want it to be too heavy because it's so hot out. So I feel like this is a happy medium. It's not too thick, not too heavy of consistency, but still gives a really nice like matte finish. I'm gonna jump off camera and finish the rest of my makeup and then talk a little bit more about the foundation. Okay guys, I am back and I have applied the rest of my makeup and I'm really excited how everything came together. The foundation was a great base and everything on top applied beautifully. I used a concealer that's a little bit more of a full coverage for under my eyes. I don't know if you guys saw, but I had a lot of darkness, so I really wanted to use something heavy duty. So I went in with the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. This is something that I reviewed last week on my channel, so I'll link it here if you want to check it out. It is truly a great concealer, very heavy duty, very full coverage, and I really like it. And it applied on top of this foundation really nicely, just highlighted under the eyes, and then I applied it in some other areas that just needed a little bit more coverage. As I mentioned, a blemish on my chin and a blemish kind of up here. Then my bronzer, highlight, and blush were all powders and applied absolutely beautifully. I did set under the eyes and even my T-zone in this area. I typically only set where I put concealer, especially with this foundation, it is matte. I didn't feel the need to kind of set like the whole face, so just in the concealer areas. Overall, my face isn't looking cakey and it sure doesn't feel heavy at all, which is nice because it is a matte foundation. I really like everything and how it all came together, so 2 thumbs up so far. I actually prefer it a lot more over the first Timewise matte foundation, and reason being is this one was really nice and it gave a perfect, like a beautiful coverage and everything, just similar to this, but it was heavier. So I think that's one of the main things that they changed in this foundation here, is that it's not as heavy whatsoever, but still gives you the same medium to buildable coverage and also is completely matte, which I love. The only downfall that I can say about this foundation is the fact that it does oxidize just a little bit. It has not oxidized any further than the first time when I swatched it on my arm. I knew, like, I could tell right away that it was drying darker than it first applied. So I just kept that in mind when I was selecting my shade. So I ended up going with the lightest one that I have, which is Beige W160, and I think that's an absolutely perfect color match for me. I am at MAC and NC usually 25 to 30, so if you're in that shade match, you're definitely gonna like the W160. But if you have other foundations that you want to match this to, let me know down below, and I'll try, if I know my shade in that foundation, let you know, so it can help you match up your foundation. And also in the comments, sometimes beauty consultants in different areas comment, so look out for that if you need any help as well. But they are also available on Mary Kay's website. That brings me to my next point. So the foundation does go for $28 Canadian, and then the brush that also launched at the same time is $20. I actually really like the brush. The only thing is that it gets a little messy. So as you can see, the way that this material here on the handle is that anything that gets on it will not be able to wipe off. I tried to take a makeup wipe to it and it didn't work, so that's the only kind of con to the brush, but I actually really liked using this to apply the foundation. It worked really, really nicely. It blended out super quickly and I didn't have any problems with it clinging or anything like that, so I definitely really like this. These are also really easy to clean, just so you guys know. All I do is I take a little bit of my cleanser and I just rub it on top and it's done. So it's really easy to clean these style of brushes. I really do like them. It's just not always what I prefer with some foundations, but with this foundation, it worked really, really nicely. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you're going to try out this foundation or if you have any questions. Be sure to subscribe, and of course, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.